And here we go. All right, we're kicking off our social media training tonight. And I want to just start off with two things that were just shared in our book club that I thought were so appropriate for tonight. We did a lot of mindset work. We're reading an incredible book for book club right now. It's called Build to Last. If you are not doing book club with us, I want you to put this on your list. This is such a great mindset tool for what network marketing should look like and can look like in your life as far as building a legacy business, as far as this being a tool to change your family, not just a means to a side gig, but truly a tool to change your family. And we talked a lot about mindset work. And two of the things that were said on the call earlier tonight was we need to be willing to do the things that we're not currently doing, or said in another way, be willing to do the things that we're not willing to do. And that's one of the things I think we're going to jump into tonight. Social media is something that scares a lot of us. We feel unsure. We feel insecure. We're going to jump into that tonight. And the fact that we are in a do and learn business. Some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight are going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be outside of your comfort zone, but I want y'all to be willing to have an open mind around this and just be willing to do something new tonight. So I do want you to have some notes. I'm going to go fast. We're joining in with Krista Deary's call at 9 o'clock. So I have 25 minutes to share all the things that I have been learning about social media in the past year that have just blown my world wide open. So we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants and do the thing. So we're recording. I'll share it with you, but I do want y'all to take notes because we're going to talk about some good stuff tonight. So I want to first just start out by saying that I'm going to share a lot tonight. And I'm going to throw a lot at you. And my hope tonight is that you don't walk away feeling overwhelmed and defeated at what you are not currently doing or how you're not currently showing up on social media, but that you would walk away feeling empowered in what you can do moving forward without having a gajillion followers. Tonight is about how you can serve right where you are and become an influencer in your current circle. Okay. It's about becoming an influencer in your current circle. And we're going to get comfortable with that word influencer tonight. So I'm going to share kind of in two parts tonight. The first is going to be about growing your influence and growing that on social media. And part of that includes growing your actual following and playing the algorithm game. And we are going to talk about that. But more than anything, I want you to focus on growing your actual influence. So right off the bat, some of you are probably thinking, and I know I've said this to myself before, that I don't want to be an influencer, or I'm not trying to have a large platform, or maybe you've even looked at this business and thought, been defeated and thought, well, I can't do what Marian Anderson does or what Megan Ashman does because I don't have 50,000 followers or I don't have 10,000 followers. And maybe you've used that as an excuse like I have before. And if that's what you're thinking right now, or if that has been your path of thinking, I want you to pivot your thinking on the word influencer. Because if you are in this business, whether you're choosing to leverage social media or not, and maybe you're focusing on more in-person events or in-person relationships, that's awesome. You absolutely 100% are an influencer either way. And because that's what we do. Maybe you're not an influencer in the sense of the word that you have 10,000 Instagram followers, but if you are not working towards influencing your current audience, I want you to ask yourself, what in the heck are you doing? What in the heck are you doing? If you are not working towards becoming an influencer of your circle, why aren't you? Because as network marketers, that's what we do, y'all. We influence people to do what we do with Plexus. We influence them to think bigger, to stop thinking small. We influence them to have change on their families. Our job is to go out there and share a wellness and business opportunity. And the only way we can do that is to influence and inspire other people to do that with us. And I've said this 100 times that we have a product and a business that is highly marketable because they are both things that people need. And we can all lay our head on the pillow at the end of the day, knowing that we are influencing for good. So I want y'all to just reframe if you are struggling with that word influencer, or maybe you have just discarded that and you don't want to be in any part of the Instagram influencer game. That's not what this is about. This is about influencing for good within the circle that you have and increasing that impact and that influence. So that's the first thing I want you to maybe shift your thinking around tonight, the fact that you're an influencer. And I love this word micro influencer. And y'all can write that down if you want to. How are you influencing the people already in your micro circle? And how can we begin to increase that influence and that impact? Y'all, there are 5-star diamonds in this company who are some of the most influential people I know who have spoken on stage at convention who have less than 1,000 Instagram followers. So it is not about the number you're influencing necessarily, but the fact that you are consciously trying to and aware of the fact that you are an influencer and embracing that truth. So if that's something you've held at arm's distance, we're going to embrace it tonight and we're going to increase our impact. How do we do that? In a nutshell, y'all, we add value. That is what your focus should be every single time you show up on social media, to add value and connect in the process. And in the process of doing that, we sell. If we are adding value, if we are connecting, we are going to be able to naturally sell a product that is going to serve other people. And that's what we have. And the most effective way to do that is to add value and connect. And this is something that maybe somebody on this call needs to hear. I know I needed to hear this a couple of years ago, and I needed to hear it again about 6 months ago. You are not on social media for your friends and family. Somebody needs to write that down and speak it over themselves. You are not on social media for your friends and family. Now, are we marketing to friends and family? Are they in that sphere of influence? Absolutely, they are. But you are not on social media to appease them and to make them happy with what you're posting. You are there to influence people for good, to bring value, to share health and happiness, to build legacy businesses, to build your legacy business. So if you are still showing up on social media and you are still worried about Jenny from 4th grade and what she is saying about you, unfriend her, get rid of her. Do whatever you need to do to get your mind right, but you are on social media with a purpose. It is 2023. We need to leave that way of thinking in the dark, okay? Because that right there will hold you back more than anything else in this business. If you can't get over that, you're going to have a hard time getting over the rest of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight. So I want to talk about how we do that. How do we show up on social media and add value and connect with people? And I'm going to use a word that has struck a chord in all of our hearts. I have had many a coaching call over this word. There has been a lot of talk around this in team calls. There was even a breakout at convention about this. And I want to clear this one up once and for all tonight. And it is this idea of niching down. And I want to say this, and it's not going to mean what you think it's going to mean up front. You need to niche down, but not in the way that maybe you have been taught or heard by the Instagram gurus. You need to niche down in the sense that you need to have clarity around what your value message is and who your ideal customer and who your ideal business builder is. So I'm going to say that again. You need to niche down in the sense that you need to have clarity around what your value message is and who your ideal customer and business builder is. And I'm not talking about necessarily being as niched as I am. If you are following me on Instagram and you're thinking you need to niche down to the decluttering world, you don't need to do that. I'm not talking about that. I ran with the niche thing and it is working for me, but you do not have to do it the way that I'm doing it. What you need to pick the lane that you are going to run in and run in it. And you need to do that in a way that makes sense for you. And the way that you can do that is what I call an umbrella, where you are sharing things that all are grouped under kind of a general theme, where you are speaking to a general group of people, but it's not necessarily content that is so niche down that you can't get out of that lane. You can't talk about anything else. And I'm going to give an example of this. So let's say that maybe you've decided that your general umbrella is going to be motherhood. Okay. And there's some other examples. I'll give some other examples. Motherhood could be an umbrella. Health and wellness could be an umbrella. Family encouragement or biblical encouragement. Stay-at-home moms, working moms. Those are all broad topics, but there are so many smaller things that you could post under that umbrella and cover a lot of ground, but still stay in the lane of that filter. So for example, if you wanted to create an umbrella around motherhood encouragement, okay, is anybody in that season right now of motherhood? Okay, some of us are teenage moms, some of us are Dan's in his season right now. Okay, so a lot of people fall under that umbrella, okay? You can talk about a lot of different topics. You don't feel like you need to be pigeonholed in that topic. You can talk about a lot of things through the scope of motherhood. You can talk about marriage through the scope of motherhood. You can talk about self-care through the filter of motherhood. You can talk about being a working mom or a stay-at-home mom through the lens of, or through the filter of motherhood. Working out, easy recipes, devotions you love, cleaning routines, makeup you love, your favorite places to shop. But when you share those things, it should all go through the filter of who you're talking to, which is moms, if that's your umbrella. Okay. How is this material relevant to a mom? If I'm sharing a reel about the importance of working out, I'm going to send it through the filter of a busy mom. And how is this going to serve her in a busy season? Does that make sense? Versus a niche, versus being clear on who you're speaking to and creating content around that. I don't want you to feel pigeonholed and feel like you can only create content around one thing. But the content that you're creating needs to all go through the same filter and be speaking to a very specific person. Okay, does that make sense? The next thing I'm going to share is that your umbrella should be crystal clear in your bio. When somebody clicks on your profile, it should be crystal clear who you are and how you serve. So who you serve and how you serve, because people are going to make a 5-second decision on whether or not to follow you. Does this chick have any value to add to me in this season of life? And some people are going to click on your bio and they should scroll right on along, because you are looking for a specific type of person that you want to inspire to do this with you. So your bio should scream that. It should be very clear. I'm Chelsea. This is who I serve. This is how I serve. Okay. Because they're going to make a 5-second decision on whether or not they're going to speak to you. And do all that while being authentic to yourself. This is not about being fake. This is not about creating content for the sake of creating content. This is you being you and figuring out how to use the knowledge and the gifts that you have to be able to serve that group of people. All right. The next thing I want to share on the value piece, and I want us to come back to our 2 things that we said at the beginning of this call. This is a do and learn business. And I want you to be willing to do the things that you're not willing to do. Okay. So are y'all with me? Can we can agree to do this tonight? Okay. Because this is what we're doing. Some of you need to be creating more content. And I know this is something that I pushed back against, honestly, for years. For years, I pushed back against this idea of creating more content. So many of us think that we are creating and sharing more content than we actually are, because we're always thinking about creating content, and we're thinking about reels that we could do and posts that we can make and stories that we can make. And most of us think that we're showing up more than we're actually showing up. But if you are only showing up 3 or 4 times per week, if you're only showing up 3 or 4 times per week, y'all, it's just not enough. And I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm not saying that because I want it to be true. I'm just saying it because it is true. We are, unless you are walking into this with just massive amounts of influence already, and you're one of those people who can make a post and get 50 people in your inbox because you've already built massive amounts of influence, you've got to be creating more content. And the reason for this is because, and you already know the reason for this, because you are a consumer and you open social media every day. People are literally flooded with sales content when they open their feed every single time they open their social media. Flooded with content. And for those of us who are using social media as a marketing tool, and if you're here, that's you, we need to be creating more feed content and more stories. And I'm going to share with you in just a minute how you can do that more easily so you don't get overwhelmed. This is not hours upon hours of creating content every day. It's not going to be as easy in the beginning as it's going to be in 3 months from now, because we're going to learn by doing. Okay. But I want you to write that down and just make that a goal of yours. We need to create more content around adding value, because we simply have to compete in this market. We just do. We just have to compete with what else is out there. And I want to share this with y'all as kind of, I don't know, anecdotal evidence or whatever it is. When I started doing this, and really consistently showing up on Instagram, and I started consistently sharing 1 to 2 reels per day, and I've been doing that consistently for almost 2 months now, my count and my engagement has absolutely blown my mind. Blown my mind. Before that, I was posting 2, maybe 3 reels per week, and I was stuck at a certain number of followers. I would not say that my account was growing. I had steady engagement. I was recruiting 1 or 2 people a month, but I wouldn't say that I was influencing a whole lot of people because I didn't have a lot of engagement on my feed. I had some likes, but I wasn't reaching enough people. When I started doing 1 to 2 reels per day and really simplifying my message and really honing in on adding value, it has blown my mind. Okay. This has been extremely intentional, and I feel like it has been years and years of failing forward and being willing to do it wrong, and finally just coming to terms with, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. Okay. There is very much this element of, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. And I want to encourage y'all to just jump in and get messy. I think I saw Kim hop on here just a minute ago, and that's been her mantra since she began this business is do it messy. And I want y'all to look at how well that has served her over the years. And she'll be the first to tell you, she is so willing to get in there and don't take this the wrong way, but just throw spaghetti up at the wall and see what sticks. Like, let's try this event. Let's do this. Let me try this kind of reel. Let me try this kind of content and see what works. And she has reaped the benefits of that for 2 years in Plexus. So I want y'all to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable and creating more content and showing up, and stop worrying about what other people think of you, and show up with a purpose to serve and an attitude that allows you to just get in there and do it. Get in there and get messy, get in there and get ugly until you get it right. And that's when you're going to start seeing the growth. So the takeaways from this first part of the little training are, number one, your affirmation that I am an influencer. I have value to add, and that is my purpose for showing up on social media. I am an influencer. Number two, you are not on social media for your friends and family, period. You are on here to market. You are on here to share a life-changing opportunity, a life-changing product, and you are on here for the people that you are going to bless. So let's absorb that. Number three, add massive value. Let's go back to that training we did 6 months ago. What's in it for me? That is what everybody is thinking when they open their social media feed. How can we provide them with that? How can we give them the value that they're craving? Number four, niche down. Find your umbrella, find your people that you're speaking to. Don't get caught up in one specific lane, but find your umbrella and filter everything that you share through that to speak to your person. Create more content and be okay with B- work. Be okay with B- work. If you know that you're getting on there and adding value, and maybe it's not the prettiest reel you've ever created, or maybe it's not crisp and clean, it's fine. If you're showing up there with the right heart and you're willing to get in there and be messy, that's the goal for this first part. Okay. For this second part, I'm just going to share some really practical tools, because the reality of this is that there is this thing called the algorithm that we have to contend with and navigate. And I hate it. And it just is the way that this is, because if you're creating bomb content and you are creating massive value, but your content isn't getting seen and shared, you are going to feel frustrated and you're going to burn out, and you're probably not going to last very long. So I want y'all to get a pen ready and just jot these down. These are just super practical, like algorithm makers. And if you can combine these with speaking really clearly to your audience, you are going to have such a leg up in the social media world. The first one is that video is king right now, especially if you're on Instagram, but I would even say Facebook too. If you aren't creating video content, you need to start. And we said this earlier, and we can fight this all we want to. We can deny it. We can hate it, whatever it is. But the reality is that people are flooded with content every time they open up the app, and ours has to stand out. People have an attention span of about 2 to 3 seconds when they see a piece of content, probably less than that, honestly, when they see a piece of content. So you better grab them quick, because you know that you have a message to share. You know that you have a product and an opportunity and value to add. So we're doing ourselves a disservice if we don't hook them quickly. So reels of 10 seconds or less are performing really well, unless you just have, I don't know, some sort of message. Let 10 seconds be your limit, because that's about people's limit. Okay. 10 seconds or less performing really well because they're long enough for us to add value and to add a message, but not too long to lose people. So let that be your guidepost and hook people within the first 2 to 3 seconds. And I will send a list of hooks out after this chat, just so y'all can have that. But it's just like an attention grabber to get people to stay on for the rest of the reel. Like 3 tips for thriving as a stay-at-home mom. That could be your hook. And Noelle's thinking, oh, let me get some of that, and she's going to stick around and watch the rest of your reel. Or, 2 tips for having, I don't know, a successful workout, whatever your niche is. Hook them within the first couple of seconds so they stick around. The second one is just stop with perfection. Your goal should be to get your message to the masses. And I mentioned earlier, we need to be creating more content. Don't let that scare you or overwhelm you. You need to be posting in your feed every single day, but do it in the form of micro content. This doesn't need to be like, you don't need to reveal a huge revelation every time you do a reel. This can be micro content. Most of my reels take less than 10 minutes to create, because I have saved B-roll and I have saved micro content and notes on my phone of value that I want to share. So set yourself up for success And this sounds counterintuitive, but think small when it comes to reels. If you're creating 6 reels per week, it's okay to share little baby bites. You're getting in people's feed more often, but they're seeing that same continual message coming from you 6 times a week versus just one. So take that huge 30-second reel that you wanted to share your whole story in, break it up into little chunks so that people are getting more exposure and that it's chunks that they can actually absorb. Okay. The next thing I want to share is B-roll. Does anybody know what B-roll is? B-roll is simply secondhand footage. It's video of you not looking at the camera, and it's footage that's not the main action. So you can look at my reels. All of my reels basically are B-roll. It's videos of me washing the dishes or unloading the dishwasher, or for you, it could be video of you working out or playing with your kids. This is the easiest way to create mass content without driving yourself crazy. Take an hour or two when you look decent one day, when you have makeup on, get you 2 or 3 outfit changes, get you 2 or 3 shirts, and create some B-roll of yourself. Do some sit-ups, do some push-ups, go for a walk outside, videotape your feet, video yourself unloading the dishwasher, video yourself playing with your kids, video yourself reading a book, doing daily household chores, and you can layer any kind of text on top of that you want to. It doesn't have to match the B-roll. This is just you connecting with your audience, living your everyday life. You can put motivational content on top of that. You can put Plexus content on top of that. But if you have a folder in your notes full of 20 B-roll videos, you've got 100 reels right there. I reuse my B-roll all the time. If you go back and look at my last 10 reels, I probably used the same video in at least 5 of them. And nobody knows because it's a different message. It's a different message. So B-roll on your phone is going to be your best friend. And then the other thing is just having a running list. You know how when you're going walking or it's at night and you always have the best ideas for reels or the best ideas for posts, keep a running note in your phone so that when you get ready to pop out a couple of reels, you can grab some B-roll, you can grab one of those motivational quotes or a thought that you had, and you've got a reel right there. Simple. The next thing is trending audio. And this one, do y'all know how to find, if you don't know how to find the trending audio, you go in Instagram and if you go to the explore page, I'll pull this up for y'all. If you go to the explore page, let me turn that down. That one's not inappropriate. Okay. What are these reels? Okay. Down here at the bottom where it tells you where the music is, there's a little arrow. If there's a little arrow next to it, that means that it's trending audio, and Instagram is going to favor showing that in people's feeds. So I never create a reel without finding a trending audio. And all it takes is going to the explore page and scrolling through 5 or 10 reels, and you'll find trending audio really, really quickly. And something on that note with the audio, and I've got 5 minutes, I got to talk quick, is think about the energy that you want to bring to your reels. Because I think this is a really subtle thing. When people watch your reels, you get a 10-second impression with them. What kind of energy do you want people to feel from your reels? Do you want them to feel mellow? And do you want them to feel calm? Or do you want them to feel motivated and fired up and energized and ready to go? So think about that. Those are all little subtle things as you're creating your content. It's all about how that hits the person in the moment. It's a really powerful emotional factor. So bring the energy. All right, I already touched on this a little bit, but think about micro content when you're talking about creating your reels. Think about a quote, a simple truth, a statistic. When you're talking about Plexus, share a mini Plexus story. And this has been one of the most powerful things that I've done with sharing Plexus on my feed I'm not talking about benefits. I'm not talking about even like big testimonies, but sharing things that connect. So when somebody sees your content, when somebody sees your Plexus reel, you want somebody to literally stop their scroll and think, oh my God, that's me. She's talking about me. That's me. And everything you do, be relatable, keep it short and sweet, and share a story. Share a story. There's lots of examples of those on my feed that have been really performing well recently. If you want to go and just take them, use them, take them. The next, I got 3 more things. Repeat yourself, y'all. Repetition is your friend. So many of my reels are either flat out recreations of something I did 2 or 3 months ago, like literally use the same wording with a different video. or I'm just slightly rewording it. There's nothing new under the sun. Your message is going to feel repetitive to you, but take it, repackage it in a slightly different way, and keep cranking out the content. The last one is just create engaging content, y'all. You can do this in a lot of different ways in your actual caption and the call to action down at the bottom. If you share a motivational quote, one of your calls to action in the bottom is tag a mom or tag a friend who needed to hear this today, and watch your engagement increase, or share this if this resonated with you. Those are calls to actions that subconsciously resonate with people, and people actually will do what you tell them to do. The goal is to create content that people can't help but engage in. So that's really what we're after. And that's really it in a nutshell. I know we've got to wrap up because we've got Krista's call in 3 minutes. The last one, and we've talked about this before, is just sharing decent quality pictures and video. You don't need to be a professional videographer, but we are competing against aesthetics. So just get in front of a window if you can when you're doing stories, just so you can have some natural light on you. Same thing for your B-roll. Get some light if you can. It doesn't have to be aesthetic, but it does need to be well lit and decent, just so that it stands out in your feed. But more than anything, just get in there and create the content. You are going to get better the more you do, I promise you. And the more you get in there and share within that umbrella we talked about, the more the content is just going to flow naturally for you. But you just got to get in there and you've got to do it and be willing to share and be willing to do the things that you're not willing to do right now to get successful. So, okay. I think that was it. We do have 2 minutes. If anybody has any specific questions around that, we can kind of dig in for a minute. Anybody have, oh goodness. Kim, were you taking notes? I was like, I can't read all that.
That was just your quick 8 or 9 social media. So if anybody didn't wanted to look over it, they can.
You're amazing.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
That was so good. Thank you. What is your take on hashtags now?
I don't even use them.
You don't need them now because your page is crazy. But for somebody that's not there in the building, like I worry when I see girls on my team pumping out content and they're posting, but no one's seeing it because they're not adding the followers. They're not using the tags. Like that's a huge part of what helped me get so I'm just curious.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I still follow Brock Johnson a lot. And he basically says hashtags are dead. The thing that has replaced hashtags is using keywords in the captions of your reels and in the caption text. So if you're talking to moms and you're talking to overwhelmed moms, stay at home, whatever, you need to make sure you're using that wording in your reel captions and in your text captions, because that's what they're picking up on now. That's what they're using as hashtags. And I will say this too, and I attribute a lot of my growth now to things that I did 6 months ago. Once you get clear on who you're serving, go find other people on Instagram who are in that same umbrella, who are around. So if you have 500 followers right now on Instagram, go find some other girls who have 500 to 1,000 followers who are within your same vein, and start commenting on their stuff every day. Build relationships with them, because before long, they're going to start sharing your stuff and you're going to start reaching their followers. And you're networking. That's what this is. You cannot stay in your bubble. You've got to reach out and network and go find those people. So yeah, I know Trisha Rhaegar still uses hashtags. I haven't used them probably for 6 months because I'm finding that people are finding me from my keywords. So that's a good point. Anybody else? And of course, y'all just DM me if you have specific questions. Angelica, inside your car does give great lighting. You always look like a movie star inside your car.
Does everybody have the link for the next call?
Can you drop it in the comments, Noelle?
I can. Hold on. Link is. How do you save it from the comments? I don't even know. 4, 5, and then looks like there isn't a password, so that should be good. I'm going over there. See you guys there. You guys
awesome.
know.
Okay, see you there.
Krista Deary is so inspiring, guys. I recommend getting on it. It's amazing.